Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Sam. Welcome back to another video. I'm hyped because Apple has just announced some new products. Two new iPad models have hit apple.com, a new 10.5-inch iPad Air. This one came out of nowhere, had zero clue that this one was going to be coming this week alongside a new iPad mini. The highly anticipated iPad mini 5 is finally here as well. I want to talk about specs, what they're going to cost, and also ultimately whether or not you should be picking one of these up. So let's go ahead and get started. If you're excited, as always, drop a like. Seriously helps me out, and hit subscribe so you stay up to date on all of the latest Apple news. First, let's jump into the 5th generation or iPad mini 2019 model. We've been waiting on this for a long time. It's actually been like 3.5 years since Apple has touched or really mentioned this product at all. Aesthetically and visually and physically, the iPad mini 5, the newest one, is pretty much identical to the iPad mini 4. I believe the mic has been relocated and repositioned on the back, and color-wise, it only comes in silver, space gray, and gold. And actually, there's no rose gold on any iPad now. You cannot get rose gold as a color on the iPad. It looks like Apple has killed it for some reason. The big changes for the iPad mini happen internally, as you'd probably expect. While there's no major redesign with an all-screen edge-to-edge display, we do get a nice processor upgrade. And when I say a nice processor upgrade, I'm talking the Apple A12 Bionic chip. A chip previously reserved for the highest end Apple products, the iPhone XS and the XR, has been brought to the iPad mini. So this is incredible because the number one complaint and issue with the old iPad mini is the fact that it was really slow in 2019. Now you're going to have no more speed complaints, as the new iPad mini is going to be just as quick as the flagship iPhones that came out just a couple of months ago. So that is a major upgrade there, and definitely the takeaway here. If you've been waiting for a faster iPad mini, this is it. Next up, the iPad mini also supports the Apple Pencil now, but it's not the right Apple Pencil for some reason, and I am completely clueless as to why Apple did this. The iPad mini only works with the first generation Apple Pencil. The pencil that has been out since 2015 or 2016 is working with a tablet in 2019. And I don't get why. Apple just came out with a second generation Apple Pencil, and it is by and far the best version of the two. You can double tap to switch tools. It's got a really nice matte finish on it, rumored to be coming to AirPods. So on the iPad Pros, that's the only device currently compatible with the second generation Apple Pencil, it attaches directly to them. But instead of just bringing that to other iPad models or supporting the second gen Apple Pencil somehow, Apple just decided not to. Honestly, that was the most disappointing part of this update for me. I know a lot of people that are going to want to buy this product, but that are sort of going to be like, why can't I get the coolest Apple Pencil out there? So that was definitely a disappointment for me. But if you want to use the first gen Apple Pencil and you want to use it on the 7.9-inch iPad mini screen, you can do so now with the latest model. Now, cameras are always something that is weird to talk about for an iPad because I don't think that a lot of people buying these iPads are going to be using them to also function as a camera. But if you do, there's an 8 megapixel camera on the back and a 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera on the front for selfies. No big changes here, but no 4K on the iPad mini. So if you want to shoot 4K, this isn't the right iPad for you. So what does this new iPad mini cost? Well, a lot of us were actually anticipating a lower cost iPad mini. I believe that is what Bloomberg initially reported. But Apple sort of surprised us with this one. So the price for the iPad mini remains the same. No change there, still starting at $399, which is a lot of money for a little tiny iPad mini, but at the same time, it's an iPad. It's gonna last you forever, and now it just has more features. Overall, I'm not super impressed by this iPad mini. I'm definitely gonna be picking one up to review and take a look at for all of you, but I'm still really liking my 11-inch edge-to-edge all-screen design iPad Pro. That being said, if you wanna save a ton of money, you've been wanting a new iPad mini, you should get this one because it hasn't been upgraded in forever. Now, more interesting for me and more shocking for me than the iPad mini 5 was the addition of a new iPad Air. This line hasn't been around for a couple of years, and we just heard for the first time a couple of days ago that Apple was even working on a 10.5-inch iPad. In fact, a source said that the 10.5-inch iPad, the new one, was going to come at a different time than the new budget iPad, and that was correct. We actually haven't seen an update to Apple's $329 most affordable iPad. We are expecting the iPad 7 update to come out very soon. In the meantime, they gave us this device right here, which is, fun fact, actually very similar in size, actually identical in size as far as dimensions go to the 10.5-inch iPad Pro from 2017, but it actually weighs a little bit less. So design-wise, again, no crazy upgrades, no major changes. You've got thin bezels on the left and right sides of the display, pretty regular-sized bezels on the top and bottom, but you do have a gorgeous 10.5-inch screen. Something that I actually forgot to mention about the iPad mini, and that also applies to this iPad, is the screen on here not only supports True Tone now, so that means it's going to dynamically change in white balance depending on where you are. If you're in a cool environment, it'll appear a little bit bluer. If you're in a warmer environment, your screen will appear a little bit redder or oranger, just like a piece of paper would. I love that feature. Obviously, you can turn it off if you don't want it, but it's here now. And both of these iPads that just came out now support the wider P3 color gamut. So colors on these devices are going to look incredible, just like iPad screens have been known to do forever. Now again, on the inside, A12 Bionic chip. Really surprised that Apple did this because generally they will go a generation or two behind on these lower cost iPads. So major snaps to Apple. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the latest tech that you already have and not giving us some older tech just to save a couple of bucks. This is a grade A move. This is what you should always be doing. And this makes the new iPads that much more appealing. And they're going to last that much longer because they have a crazy fast processor. Moving on to cameras for the new iPad Air, they are absolutely spec'd identical to the iPad mini's camera now. So you got, again, 8 megapixel on the back, 7 megapixel on the front, and no 4K again. So while the iPad Pro 10.5 inch from 2017 supported 4K, this new iPad Air doesn't. Again, a small detail that I wanted to share with you in case that's important. Now, the new iPad Air also supports the Apple Pencil, but it's the exact same situation again. It's first generation support. Just know that if you want second generation Apple Pencil, that is exclusively locked to the most expensive iPads on the market, the edge-to-edge all-screen design iPad Pros. But one accessory that the iPad Air does support that the iPad mini does not is the smart keyboard. So Apple now sells new smart covers for not only the new iPad mini, but also the new iPad Air. Apple now sells a smart keyboard officially Apple branded for the 10.5-inch iPad. So if you want to be able to use an Apple branded keyboard, you want something that directly attaches to your iPad rather than just a Bluetooth keyboard, then the iPad Air is something you should be looking at. Now, I've used these smart keyboards before and I don't really like the way they feel. They're like a MacBook keyboard where there's no key travel, but it feels like half that or a quarter that. Like when you press on this, it just doesn't feel nice to me. It does not have enough click or clack. But if you've used a smart keyboard before, it's the one that attaches directly to the iPad, and it's cool because it doubles as a case of sorts. So you can just sort of attach it there and then fold your iPad up and take it wherever. So if you're interested in buying the new iPad, it's available just like the new iPad mini right now on apple.com, and it is available for $499. So now that you know all the really important specs about the newest iPads, should you be upgrading to either? I've sort of alluded my answer throughout the video, but basically if you have any iPad mini, you should upgrade to the new iPad mini if you've been waiting or hoping for an upgrade. The new iPad mini is going to be night and day quicker than the old iPad mini. Like, you're just going to notice the difference instantaneously. It's much harder to judge whether or not you should upgrade it to the new 10.5-inch iPad Air, because Apple was just making a 10.5-inch iPad that was on their site until today. It was the 2017 iPad Pro. And honestly, I would make the argument that it's better to spend the extra money to find the 10.5-inch old iPad Pro from a different Apple reseller or online because of a few reasons. None of the newest iPads have that gorgeous, really smooth 120 Hz display, and that was without question my favorite feature on the 10.5-inch iPad until today. The cameras on the last iPad Pro 10.5-inch were also better. I believe it was a little bit heavier, but I would take a slightly heavier device with a much better screen at twice the refresh rate and better cameras that shoot 4K and better photos than what we have now. Apple simply cut out some of the best specs to make it more affordable. Now the only way to get that really gorgeous 120 hertz display is to buy the $799 iPad Pro. So I see what they did there. I understand why that screen is probably a lot more expensive than a traditional LCD iPad 60 hertz screen, which is what you get on both the iPad mini and the new iPad Air. But that being said, if you don't want to spend the extra $50, $100, $150 on the 2017 iPad Pro, you can trade off some of those more premium specs for a faster processor in the newest one. And that could be worth it to you, especially if you don't care about like a quicker refresh rate or smoother looking screen. So that is your look at the two newest iPad models that Apple has released. A lot of interesting details to talk about per usual. If you learned something new, if this video helped you out, it does seriously help me if you drop a like down below. And of course, make sure you hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. I've been Sam. Hope all of you are doing fantastic per usual, and I will catch you guys in the next one.